Welcome to another edition of the Tales of the Lexus Melbourne Cup. And in recent times, when we think of our greatest race, there's one horse that springs to mind, and that is the superstar herself, Makybe Diva, who wrote her name into the record books, winning 3 Melbourne Cups. And it is great to catch up with owner Tony Santic. Tony, great to have you on today to reminisce about your wonderful mare. How are you?
Oh, I'm really good, Michael, considering the pandemic. But no, I'm very fortunate we're out on the farm and, bit of freedom.
Yeah. What a wonderful photo that is behind you. That was when she won her Cox Plate, but her 3 wins in the Melbourne Cup, that's something I think we're quite comfortable in saying, as Lee Freeman on that famous day said, we are most likely never to see again. How often do you see her? Is she living with you as we speak?
I go and see her. I basically drive past her every day, but I go down and give her apples 3 times a week. 2 weekends ago, I took my daughter Charlie and my son AJ there, and AJ wouldn't get out of the car, but Charlie went and fed her apples and she just loved it, And, and you can see she's the boss. You start feeding her apples and the other horses come close, her ears go back and they all disappear. So she's still the boss, not only on the track, but in the paddock as well. So
what does she mean to you then, Tony? Obviously what she did for you on the racetrack, but since that time, being one of your best friends as well.
Oh, well, she's probably been my longest girlfriend, I suppose. But no, she's special. I mean, I'll never have another one like that. I mean, I've had a lot of racehorses and win races and all that, but there's something about her that, I call if she comes and, it's this special moment there that will always be there, She's a special horse. I mean, that's why I call her mum.
Well, she started her career, as we know, with trainer David Hall. Do you remember her first day at the track? She got beaten in a maiden at Benalla.
Yeah, I know. Ran 4th, I think. But, that's the way it was. But the next start, it was good to get the win on the board, and we went from there.
She won her next 6 in a row, including the Werribee Cup, and then she won the Queen Elizabeth on the final day of the Cup Carnival. And that was when she really first burst onto the Australian racing scene to say, hey, she could be a potential Cups horse. When did you, and at that stage, David Hall, think we might have a genuine Melbourne Cup horse here?
Well, I don't know about David, but we celebrated after the Queen Elizabeth like we won our Melbourne Cup, And in horse racing, you got to celebrate when you can. You don't win too often. So, but that was a special moment, knowing that we're in the Cup next year, and no thought of not being there, but knowing horses like I do today, a lot of things happened in 12 months. Over the 4 years of her carnival, the 4 carnivals, she was just amazing. I mean, just came through it and retired perfect, so it was a great thing.
Splitting your Melbourne Cups would be like splitting your children as to what's your most favourite, but that first Melbourne Cup, the build-up, the buzz, the excitement, did you feel the nerves and the pressure?
Oh, look, I watch Makybe videos very regular, and the first one, of course, brought a tear to your eye because, as I said, we always wanted to run in the Melbourne Cup. Not ever thinking you're going to win it, but we did. And it just went on from there. Like, every one of them was special, but the last one, I suppose, first and the last were the main ones, in the sense that you won your first Melbourne Cup. And Greg Miles called it perfectly.
Champion becomes a legend. Makybe Diva has won it from either Autozone. Excellent. Like a falcon is close up, and just behind those horses then was Lachlan River, Portland Singer, and further back in the...
That does bring tears to your eyes, and I mean, how fortunate me and my family and everyone involved was to be there and have a great mare like Makybe winning 3.
A lot of talk between the Cox Plate and the Melbourne Cup. Would she run because of the weight? And what was going through your mind? Were you worried? Because she was the people's horse then, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. I mean, I didn't really know what was going on. Like when she won the Cox Plate, we're all celebrating. And Paul Lee was with her, and I didn't find that for hours later. And she was bottomed out, and he was concerned about her and everything else. But I think come the following Thursday, he got on the phone to Bossy and me and said, she put on 6 kilo, Bossy, you better come here and see what happens. So it went from there. And then on Saturday, she trialled with a pretty good horse. And the guy in the cocktail couldn't believe the time, and we said, we're on for young and old here, so we sort of tried to keep it to ourselves as much as we could. But come Tuesday, we were there. So,
Tony, Glenn Boss tells the story that you met up before that third Melbourne Cup. It may have even been the night before when you had a drink, and he said, this is destiny. She won't get beaten. Can you tell us about that moment?
It was funny because you dream about the race. I don't know whether any other people do. I dreamt about the race and all that. And it was like it was meant to be. Same as Bossy said, it was like a runaway train. And really, when you go back to the Cox Plate, thinking, well, like Bossy mentioned, if she was retired after Cox Plate, it would have been good anyway. But when she got to that stage, and if she's right to run, you had to give her a chance to win the 3 that no one else has done. We had to give her that chance. So, and it paid off at the end. I mean, for us, the people of Australia and all the followers, and that was sensational, I thought.
What were you like during those Melbourne Cups? Because they are the 3 of the best rides you'll ever see, Glenn Boss. Where did you watch them, and how nervous were you?
Pretty nervous, let me tell you, every one of them. But it was the aftermath. It started like on the Tuesday, didn't finish for 6 weeks. By the time I took everyone to Lincoln and everything else, the adrenaline was pumping and everything else. When everyone left, I felt like I was 110. I just had a bit of rest.
The Makybe clan could put on a good party.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we tried. But, those days you'll never forget. I mean, you asked the question, fans, I think the biggest fan she's got is the 5 girls that named her. And they wouldn't miss any race or anything. I mean, they were just saturated with her, like it was just amazing. And they loved her, like everyone else did. But
tell us about that story, Tony, because they were ladies that worked for you, weren't they, in Port Lincoln? Yeah. And that's where Makybe came from.
Well, I think at that stage we had probably 80 or 90, 100 horses, I forget it now. And I was getting sick of naming this one Smitzer and that one Smitzer and that. So I started naming, and I handballed it to the girls, and I said, work this one out. And after a few days, they came back with Makybe Diva. And it's the first 2 letters in each of the girls' names. So first name. So it was sensational. I mean, we all laughed at the time, but how good did it end up?
And that win in the Melbourne Cup, the moment where she stood, looked at the crowd, and Bossy kind of pointed to her, it's etched in Australian sporting folklore.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to scale, a living legend. We have been privileged to witness the greatest Melbourne Cup win of all.
He's trained so many freaks, Lee Freedman, throughout his career, but Does he tell you that she was probably the most athletically gifted horse that he's had, especially as a stayer?
I think Lee's had a great lot of good horses, and I think you'll have a few still to come. But he thought she was a great horse. Like the second Melbourne Cup, he couldn't even hear of her getting beaten. You know.
Makybe Diva, she's got right up on the inside. Makybe Diva, she's hit the front now from Vinnie Rowe and Zasman. It's Makybe Diva clear. She's out by 2 lengths to Vinnie Rowe. It's Makybe Diva clear, and she's going to do what no mare has ever done. Makybe Diva wins it again. Vinnie Rowe second.
And it would have been a tough decision for David Hall to make, who had a position over in Hong Kong, which he wouldn't want to give up, but he probably knew he was letting go a horse of unbelievable talent. He got his Melbourne Cup, but have you spoken to him subsequently about what she then went on to achieve?
Well, we really didn't talk about it a lot afterwards. I see David now and then at the sales and that, but at that moment, I think, and that point in time, David probably made the right decision. I think he has, because he's still there at the moment. So, and he's done very well in Hong Kong. So, and I think he's happy for Lee and us to have continued on, that he was the one that won the first one. And that's what counts.
But Makybe Diva shot away. She's out by 2 lengths to She's Archie. Pentastic and Zagalia. Makybe Diva in front. She's Archie tries hard, but Makybe Diva wins the cup. She's Archie.
You became an Australian icon. The mullet made a return to fashion, all because of you. How did it change your life, all the media hot?
Well, it became a bit different. I mean, I used to buy a horse and sneak off and let John Foote do the interviews and that. But when you win all these cups and that, you can't run away from an interview. So it became part of it. But it's not something I like to do. I'd rather leave it to the experts to talk. But no, it did change my life. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter where you go, whether it's Europe or down the street in Melbourne or Adelaide or wherever, people know you and say, "Oh, hey, great win, you know, great horse you got." I mean, all sorts of things. And we get a lot of letters. We got a lot of letters in years gone by, how good she was, you know. Some families name their daughters after her and stuff like that. So, yeah, so it's been an incredible journey, still is.
And the relationship she had with Bossy, known as the Iceman, and he certainly was in those Melbourne Cups. How would you describe it?
Well, I mean, she had a great relationship with Bossy on the racing scene, but Bossy came here a few months ago. I think I was out fishing, so it must have been January or December, January, February or something. And she knew him straight off, like after about 14 years or so, or 13 years, she hasn't seen him, or vice versa. No, they made it like, they hit it off like they've never been apart. So it's great to see. I just seen all the photographs and videos and that, so it was great.
Unbelievable. And for the little town of Port Lincoln as well, how did it change Port Lincoln?
Well, Lincoln was on the map always, you know, as a tuna town, and also Dean Lucan won the weightlifting gold medal back a few years earlier. And, you know, and when Makybe won the first one, well, we had a parade and the council put it all on. It was fantastic. Then the second one, another parade, and the third one, a bigger parade, and a lot of headaches, I must say. But and there's a statue of her on the foreshore there, and I mean the tourists love it. I mean the amount of photographs, you know, people jump on it, get shots and photographs and that. It's just amazing. It's done a lot for Lincoln in sense of tourism and all that. So it's great. She
is a champion of Australia who will forever be remembered. as the greatest Melbourne Cup winner we've seen in modern time. And you are right next to her, Tony. It is great to catch up. And she might win another Melbourne Cup. She's going around this year. The VRC is putting on a virtual Melbourne Cup of the greatest winners in history. How do you think Makybe Diva would line up against Farlap?
Oh, well, I'll just say what Freedy said. I didn't see him win 3 Melbourne Cups, but it'll be a great match.
There's no doubt about it. Tony, great to relive the memories of the great Makybe Diva.
Thanks, Michael.